Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind, Nick, is just looking back at when I was a young pastor and writing my first book. And by the way, the key to writing 60-some books is start writing when you're young and then get old. That's how it works. So, but the point is that as I was researching that book back then, it was called Christians in the Wake of the Sexual Revolution. And it was trying to expose the fact that we've got a major problem in the Church of Jesus Christ. And we were then living in denial. This was actually written before the big sex scandals with Jim and Tammy Faye Baker and Jimmy Swaggart and a lot of the early things. And one of the first reactions was when that book came out was there were a number of reviewers who actually said, I don't believe these stories, I think they're made up.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Because it was so shocking, that I'd spoken at a Bible college and 3 students in 2 days, female students came to me and told me that 2 of them were having sex with their youth pastors, and one of them had had sex with their senior pastor. And independently, I was teaching 1 Corinthians, so yeah, there was the theme of sexual purity there. But what strikes me is just how this is such an ancient problem, and by ancient, I don't mean early 80s, which is when I was researching and writing. But the point is, sometimes I feel like we haven't progressed that much from back then, and I think the stats, reveal. But of course, we have the whole technological. I think, what did you call it, Babylon?
Digital Babylon.
Yes, digital Babylon, and in Christians in the Wake, I use the term, we live in a technological Corinth, but similar idea, because Corinth was this corrupt city with all the, but it's like, wow. But I praise God for Pure Desire and other ministries that are bringing these things out in the open, but I'm just reminded all the time of how far we have to go.
So much work.
Yeah. So nothing new under the sun in some ways.
Right. Now, one comment just from Proverbs 4 that I was thinking about this morning. My child, don't lose sight of common sense and discernment. Hang on to them, for they will refresh your soul. They're like jewels on a necklace. They keep you safe on your way, and your feet will not stumble. Now, this is not an unqualified promise that every Christian will be safe in his way and not stumble. It is actually, if you hang on to common sense and discernment, wisdom, this theme in the book of Proverbs. So one of the things that I think in terms of why does this still keep happening all the time with lay people, Christian leaders. Ravi Zacharias was a friend of mine. I mean, I don't know how to say except I never would have thought. And neither did a lot of the people close to him, but it's how can this happen? And I think along the way, sometimes as Christian leaders, I think there is an entitlement thing. It's like I'm doing God's work, so somehow I'm privileged to do this on the side, and I think that was evident in Ravi's life and many different lives. But I think for a lot of people, it's just a failure to use the common sense that God builds into the world, where it's like, how's this working for you?
Yeah.
In other words, you're doing this to bring joy to your life, right? We all are motivated by happiness. And that's why people pursue immorality. That's why they go to pornography. They want to bring happiness into their lives. Then what happens? It brings misery. And that goes back to John 8, where Jesus said the devil is a liar from the beginning. And I like the NIV translation there, where it says, when he lies, he speaks his native language. He is so good at lying, and we are so vulnerable, gullible, that we buy into it, and we don't see the self-destruction. Not just, of course it's a terrible thing to bring harm to your family, and harm to your church, and harm to your fellow workers, and harm to the people around you. But sometimes it's like, but I'll do it for me. Well, you're the one that's being harmed the most. So I think this self-deception that is addressed, it's called foolishness in Proverbs, but it actually could be translated, and I think this would be a good translation, stupidity. Because we're doing something which all the evidence, not just from Barna surveys or from Pure Desires teaching, but just your own life. Look at your own life. How's it working for you? Is it bringing you happiness? No, it's bringing you misery, and it's alienating you from the people around you, and it's bringing guilt into your life. So it's not paying off, and I think if we just could come to grips with that, so that every time we're tempted, it's like, no, the devil is trying to take me down. I'm on his hit list, and I just need to be wise and careful and stop being a fool.
Yeah.
Stop being stupid.
Yeah.